everyone. We are coming to you live inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida. I'm your host, Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about all of this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press, new releases as we wind down your weekend. But of course, if we're going to wind down our weekend, we have to have some wine. So before we get started talking about all the great things that happened at Bat City this week, and there were a lot of them, and all of the awesome new releases, we're going to talk about this wine. And I'm really excited because Matt brought this, and the bottle is beautiful, and I can't wait to see what it is. It's called Solnia. It's a Tempranillo, and so again, like Spanish wine. And this says it's got cherry color. It's Tempranillo grapes, 100% Tempranillo grapes. It's got creamy, toasty notes of oak, lots of fruits, silky long finish. It's got so much spice and all these kinds of things. I'm very excited. Let's see if we can. Oh my gosh. It smells nice. It does smell. It said it had like warm smell. Like the aroma highlights the ripe fruit and creamy toasty notes of oak. You can definitely see that. All right, I guess we should try it. That's smooth.
Super smooth.
I definitely, like it said, it has this optimum balance of fruit, spice, and intense aromas, and you definitely can taste that. Like there's a lot of spice, but the fruit and even that like vanilla-y oaky flavor kind of like balance into it so that it doesn't get too spicy.
It's gonna open up real nice.
It's gonna open up real spicy too. But for a Tempranillo, it is a little like closer to the, like it does have a little bit more floral into it than I would expect for a Tempranillo. But that's good. Yeah.
Dark cherries. Black currants.
Yeah, it says intense cherries too, like intense cherry flavor. It says intense cherry color, but that's because of all the intense cherry flavors in it. But I love this bottle with all the planets on it. It's so cool and sparkly, which is a nice thing. Man, we should have had this when I had Sacrificers for the pick of the week because it looks so cool. It would look so cool with the Sacrificers planets and all the covers and gods and stuff. But anyway, we're going to be drinking this throughout the night. I'm going to slide it over here so it's not in the way where I knock things down. So we had an awesome time this last week at Bat City, which is why I have apparently no words left this weekend. But we had so much fun. We, of course, last Sunday night had Dan Curry from Ignition Press on the show. Thank you so much, Dan. I'm going to say that like 6 more times in this rundown of the last week. But Dan Curry from Ignition Press was here all week, bringing some really exciting Ignition fun to the mix of Bat City events. So last Sunday, he was on the live stream with us. We got to talk about all these awesome indie books and hear like some secret insider stories that went with some of the books that Dan had worked on currently and in the past. We also had our Ignition Press release day for Arcadia, which we're going to talk about later. Arcadia #1 launched this weekend because we had Dan here. We got to have an awesome time where we got to talk about the new book all day. Dan had stickers. He had prizes. In fact, he had a huge prize pack. And that prize winner was selected. And James Jackson, you did win. And the beginning of your prize is actually here and ready for you. But when you come in on Wednesday or Thursday to pick up your books, we will also get you set up with the rest of the information to Dan so he can send you some more stuff, like a really cool Ignition shirt, which we've got. I'm super excited. Thank you to Ignition for the shirts. I'm going to do a shout out to our girl Bree from Ignition, who is their marketing director, who while she wasn't here, spent so much time getting us all kinds of goodies and things to help make the day successful. And then we had portfolio reviews, and there were almost 25 of you here for portfolio reviews. And Dan and our friend Alex Scola, who's also in the comic industry, both sat there and did incredible reviews for people for literally 3.5 hours. They reviewed portfolios straight through. Everybody got to talk to both of them. Everybody got to show off their work. It was really cool to see all the things that people in our area are working on. There's so many talented people in the Minnesota area, and I'm so glad that you all came out and showed off your work. It was really cool to get to see it. And thank you to Dan and Alex for literally spending 3.5 hours going through those portfolios. And then, of course, we had our sidewalk sale on Small Business Saturday yesterday, which was so much fun. We had the $1 sale outside, and we had people here from 10:30 all the way in the morning all the way to almost 8:30 at night, shopping those boxes, finding incredible things in those boxes. I seriously, like, people would pull stuff out and they're like, is this supposed to be here? And I'm like, well, it is. So it's yours for $1. It was so much fun to just get to see everybody like helping each other too, like watching people like find stuff that other people were hunting for and then pass it to them instead of being like, oh, I know this is hot because people are looking for it. No, like everybody shared because BatFam's amazing. And I absolutely love that. So it was a great holiday week for sure. And I just want to again say that we are incredibly thankful to all of our BatFam members, everybody near and far that supports Bat City, that we get to consider part of this amazing, incredible family. We absolutely love you and thank you for letting us be a part of your lives. And again, a huge shout out to Dan Curry and Alex Scola for making the week even more exciting with all of the fun that we had in and out of the store all week long. It was awesome to have you both here. And if you're local, don't fret. There's still so much more to come by the end of the year. Coming up this week, on Wednesday night, we have Zine Night, which is going to be the night before Zine Night. We're going to do some Christmas meets, like holiday meets poetry, zine kind of inspiration for this one. It's going to be awesome. That starts at 6 p.m. with Katie here in the store. On Thursday night, we've got our Fresh Start Book Club, which we are reading Revival. You can get a $1 copy in the front of the store, and it's going to be really exciting to hear all about that book. And if you've seen the show that's going on that matches that, it'll be really cool to hear some insights. And then this Saturday at noon, Katie has her art class. If you are a child or if you have a child, bring them out at noon for Miss Katie's art class. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Saturday evening, I will be out at Winter Wonderland in downtown Bradenton to kick off the holiday season with the entire city. It is one of my favorite block parties. It's going to be so awesome. You definitely don't want to miss that. It is one of the biggest events that the city does, and it's awesome. So make sure you stop by Saturday night for that downtown Bradenton. All right, I'm going to take one more drink of this awesome drink before I start talking about comics. It's already like adjusting. It's slowly folding out.
The spice is nice.
Yeah, spice is nice. Since we're talking about Christmas, especially. All right, we're going to kick it off with Department of Truth, issue 34 from Image Comics. If you have not been reading Department of Truth, this is definitely a great time to go back and read all of it. And just kind of catch up and jump in because there's so much going on. And James Tynion has really kind of found a way to blend in the reality into this fictional story, which of course goes incredibly well with the theme of Department of Truth. But if you don't know, this is all about a world where there's a secret section of the government that's job it is to ensure that conspiracy theories do not become reality, because if enough people believe in them, they will start to become true. And Lee Harvey Oswald has always run this section of the organization. And recently we've had our main character of the story has kind of run away with some information that he's not supposed to have. Meanwhile, back in the Department of Truth, they have gotten a new administration taking over the White House and Congress and everything, and those people are firing the long-term members of the Department of Truth and kind of pushing the conspiracy theories to become reality because they are more in favor of them because they can control the people if they control what conspiracy theories they believe in. And so it's really changed the dynamic of this story a lot. And one of the really cool things that we're seeing in these issues in this arc is that James has Scott Snyder writing a backup story in every issue, and it's kind of about the fact that we have like these super conspiracy theory people, that there's essentially people who have been entirely like conspiracy theoried around, and so much has happened that we don't really know who's real and who isn't. We saw that with Marilyn Monroe in the past arc. Now we're seeing it with Elvis Presley, and just exactly what were those manipulations that created, and whether Elvis was ever real or not is part of this story. It's really cool to see James Tynion and Scott Snyder both working in the same universe in the same book. We've got Thundercats, issue 21 from Dynamite. This contains some long-awaited moments for the Thundercats story arcs. If you've been reading this for a long time, this is our big issue, and there's no way for me to not expose that to you because it's on like page 1. And so we have been following this story as all of the Thundercats have been crashed on this third Earth, and they have been talking about how they need to build their space. And in arc 1, really, Lion-O went missing after chasing down Mum-Ra on his own, getting captured, and we've seen some really weird things that have come from that, both within the group and with just Lion-O and like what could possibly be going on. Well, this issue is called Reunion because it's, like I said on the very first couple of pages, Lion-O returns to a group that is slowly falling apart because of the fact that Chitara is having trouble keeping everybody together. They're starting to lose battles and things like that, and she is so excited to have Lion-O home. But what does that mean truly for the group? And I mean, honestly, I'm even like, is this really Lion-O at this point? Because this is like the third time that you've made me think that Lion-O has come home and that we've discovered where he was. And so now I'm like, is it Lion-O? Is this like a cosmic cube kind of situation? I don't know. We're going to see how this goes. But he's definitely a changed person who doesn't really want to live his life the same way as before. And we're going to see where that actually leads the team. We've got Geiger, issue 18 from Image Comics in the Ghost Machine universe. If you are not reading Geiger and you are somebody who loves like the Big Two, but you're like, hey, I really want something that's like Big Two feeling, but like with big adventures for all new characters, you seriously need to jump into the Unnamed universe, and specifically like Geiger is going to be a good groundwork for you on that. In this series, we follow the glowing man, Tariq Geiger, who is trying to figure out how to stop the radiation that has flooded into his body ever since the apocalypse, a nuclear apocalypse, destroyed the world. And he is trying to find a cure for that, and we've been following along for a very long time as he's tried to do that. But recently he was caught and put in prison, and as far as he knows, his radiation is in fact gone, and so he feels like he's having that moment. But there is a pirate who wants to find his buried treasure. And of course, this is like a sand pirate in a different apocalyptic kind of situation. And that treasure is buried below the prison, and he believes that they can use the trapping of this man that has recently come into the prison as a way to get the time that they need to find the treasure. Unfortunately for him and all of his people, that man is our glowing man, and there is a lot that is going to unfold because of that. This series just gets more and more in-depth as we go along. We found some new characters. Everybody is kind of after Tariq in new ways. New people are allying with him and against him. And we're still moving towards this big point, where the Unnamed universe is going to explode in a new way. And so we can feel that tension starting to really mount as the story continues. Flash Gordon, issue 13 from Mad Cave. This is, taking it back to that pulpy world of Flash Gordon. And one of the things that I love that, Jeremy Adams did when he created this is he was like, I don't really want to start with Flash Gordon's origin story. It's something that we've seen in movies and TV and comics so many times before. And so he kind of just started in the middle of an adventure. And so we actually get a lot of that origin story mixed into this and kind of learn about Flash, the football star, and how it really shaped who he was going to be when he became a superhero. And then we fast forward to the now where we actually see Flash still in that alternate universe where in that world he's the bad guy. And he's trying to prove to that world that he is the bad guy, Flash Gordon, so that he can use their technology to get him back to our world where he can stop Ming and save Dale, the usual. And so he is having to work really hard in this to actually connive a plan from an evil standpoint and really prove that to the people, because nobody really truly believes that Flash Gordon is bad. But we do get to see exactly what that would look like for him, and the way he thinks about it and the way he puts it together is really interesting conversation for Jeremy to blend with that origin story as he starts to try to work his way closer to hopefully a victory overall for this arc of the story, and really just get him on that path to taking down Ming. I don't think the man's ever truly gonna beat Ming. Just not gonna happen. Hornsby and Halo, issue 12 from Ghost Machine and their Family Odyssey imprint. This is all about two kids who just happen to be born, one as an angel and a demon. one of them, the girl who is supposed to be like the future child leader of hell, is sent to Earth to live with the nicest, kindest people who could hopefully maybe teach her how to be the better person that she needs to be. The young boy who's supposed to be an angel is sent to live with the worst people possible. They, for the first time in their lives, have started experiencing their powers and have been going through a lot. In this arc, a rogue angel and demon who are trying to spur kind of this battle between these two have actually sent their parents on the same trip to New York for very different reasons, getting them both caught by FBI agents and leaving these kids on their own. And they have found themselves wandering through New York, unbeknownst to them, trying to find a place that they've never experienced. And it's really cool. They end up finding this essentially like a purgatory place where angels, demons, and Nephilim can go. And in that space, they learn that they actually have the right to choose whether or not they keep these powers. And they are trying to decide what would that look like if they didn't, and do they even want these powers. And as we've learned for the last 12 issues, they really don't want them. So of course, when we come into whatever a point where they actually are going to have to address that, we'll see what choice they actually make when the time comes. Biker Mice from Mars, issue 6 from Oni Press in the Nacelle universe. It's really cool to have an ongoing Biker Mice title, and the fact that it's not, episodic. So many of the cartoon, like, toy line comics that are coming out right now are very episodic in nature, and this is nice because it is an ongoing, continuous story. And in that story, we have found that the Plutarchians have taken over Mars, and they are trying to destroy it so that they can, take the resources and get what they want and kind of just go about their way, getting rid of the Martians. Well, they are doing that by using this woman who is a doctor or a scientist. They're using her invention that kind of creates all the natural disasters and kind of causes them to all go off at the same time. The Biker Mice have saved this woman, have tried several times now, and of course, at this point, she has been taken from Mars, and they need her in order to stop all the damage that's been done to the planet already. And so they have had to go into space to fight, and it's just really absurd adventures. I mean, you just saw on that page, but you're going to see a little bit more of them flying through space on space motorcycles that they find in the bad guy's car, our spaceship. It's so cool, and the adventures just get bigger and more outrageous all the time. I definitely am like, oh man, I wonder if they ever made the space flying motorcycles as toys for them, or if we'll get to see them now as they invent new things. The Killer, Affairs of the State, Volume 2, Number 6, from Boom Studios and the Archaea imprint. I love this. If you saw the movie with Michael Fassbender, you have a little bit of an idea of The Killer. If you did see the movie with Michael Fassbender, you will only be able to read this in his voice. But this is all about a guy who is a hitman and has an agency that he works for and is always sent out on different things. He's very methodical, never makes a mistake, is always, honestly, the books are very dry and things are more him reacting to the undercover situations he's put in than they are actually him doing any of the work that he's assigned to do. But in this volume, he was actually assigned to take out a person who he found out was human trafficking a young child. Lots of young children. He was not able to save all of them because that was not his job directive, but he actually saved a little girl, and now he's taken her in, is on the run with her. Meanwhile, his handler, the agent he was supposed to be working with, has her own problems because the agency wants him eliminated because of the fact that he did break the rules and he took out the whole cell of people. And she has to kind of decide, especially in this issue, like, what side is she on? Is she going to be with him and the child and actually standing up against terrible people, or is she just going to follow the letter of the law the way he's always done too? And where does that leave them if they do change everything? This is a really great wrap up for this arc, and I absolutely cannot wait for more to come, because I want to see where these two, this story of these people leads us. And also I just always love to see more of him and the way he responds to situations. His thoughts on humanity, I'm like, the writer is Matt, and I'm always just like, I want to have a conversation, so I need to learn more French with Matt, so that I can be like, where do you, like, just have the philosophical conversations that you write into The Killer with me, because they're so good that I'm like, I need to rethink everything about life every time I read an issue. Catacomb of Torment, issue 5 from Oni Press and their EC imprint. This is a horror anthology bringing back the world of the EC comics from the pre-code horror kind of days. And we've got 3 stories in here, and the first one is called Necronomicon. And it is all about 2 guys who love to collect. They're always trying to outdo each other with their collections of the best, like, rare and hard to find, like, first prints of books, and not even, like, not comics, but like novels. And one of the guys notices that the other one starts to have all of these, like, novels and screenplays and different things signed by people, and they're all dead. And he's like, how is this happening? And he learns of a secret experience where you get to go to this event, and things happen. As they always do in an EC book, and you don't get too excited. The second story is called A Ray of Sunshine, and it's all about a woman who loves taking care of her plants but has the worst boyfriend ever. Seriously, I wish Orla would meet this guy. We'll get to that in a minute. But this woman cannot, like, her best friend is like, you have to get rid of this guy, and he is like, you have to get rid of these plants. And when you ask a woman to choose between the things she loves and you might not like the answer. And then the last one is called Tooth and Claw, and it's all about 2 werewolves that meet in the past, and the experience they have it's during the segregation, and just what does it look like if you bond over your wolf form but you're segregated in your human forms. How do you relate to each other, and how do you pull that together? And the story of their existence just kind of slow moves into some really cool conversations. I like the slow-moving sense of dread that comes in that one. Toxic Avenger, issue 5 from Ahoy Comics and our buddy Matt Bors. This is such a weird, off-the-wall issue for Toxic Avenger, which is already a weird, off-the-wall story. But basically, we start out in the now, and Toxie is being told that, or the government is deciding that they want Toxic Avenger to come to the White House so they can have a conversation with him about the belief he has in the aliens, but also, the toxic spill that's happened in New Jersey. And then we fast forward to the future, and we see a human version of Melvin fighting along a bunch of mutant, toxic mutants, and he's having this experience where it's like, hey, there's still, the people gave in, the aliens are winning, the bugs have taken over the world, and it's up to me and my friends to kind of fight them. And he's still using his mop to do that. And we get to see these different battles and these different experiences as it fast forwards through different points in time as Melvin has to do that, and we learn what this future might be and where it comes from, and what Melvin is facing. But if it all geared around whether or not he takes this White House visit. So you get to see a really cool story, but also everything on the back half is kind of spoilery to what is happening in this issue. So that's all you get to hear from me. Escape, number 4 from Image Comics and the Giant Generator imprint. This book is so good. I am not usually a war story fan, but Rick Remender is he always does the emotional beats, and so this is a story of emotion that's geared around that idea. And this, if you haven't read it yet, it starts with a guy who is having to go into war, and we see at the very first that he's got this mission that he has to do, and kind of the way it's supposed to be. And issue 2 takes us back and shows us the relationship that he's leaving behind at home, and where he is in his family life and what's to come. And issue 3 kind of showed a little bit more of him back in the war, and this one balances those points out. And in the last issue, he got separated from his group and he got hurt. And this one, he is being hidden by a man who's actually a bat, and it's very representative of certain cultural changes that happened during World War II, and he is kind of being hidden by this group as they try to hide from the soldiers that are coming looking for him, and who are also just looking for all of them. And he gets to see what it's like to live in that environment, and what this family is willing to go through by hiding him, and what he's supposed to be protecting. And it's interesting because he is remembering that his wife is pregnant back home, and he's been like, I want to get back to my son. And now he's here with just a father who has nothing but his son left, and he's kind of having this moment of I do have to make this work. I do have to get back there. But at the same time, like, who do you trust and where are you safe? And is anybody safe in this situation? It's a very heartfelt, like, retelling of a World War II kind of situation, and the actions that happen in that individual, like, feeling of, I'm on my own and things are dangerous. It's really, like, and Rick Remender, he even says it at the back, like, in his letter. He's got a lot of stuff in here about, you know, his family and stuff and other people in the war. But I love that he says let's wait a beat to sit with the ending before we begin. And that's so how I feel after every issue that Rick Remender writes, because he is so good at, like, his cliffhanger isn't like the dun 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 moment. It's kind of like the heartfelt artsy moment of, like, that, what is the heaviest emotion I can leave you with? And he always drops that, and you're like, I need to sit for a beat to let this, like, soak in and figure out, like, how I feel before I can continue. And this issue is another one that does that, and it's so well. We've got Detective Kaiju issue 4 from Massive. This is the wrap-up of at least this arc, I believe, of the, I don't know if it says if we're going to get any more, but this is the wrap-up of this arc of Detective Kaiju and this case that he's on. So there might be some spoilers if I show you anything, but basically, Detective Kaiju is in a world where obviously there's mythical creatures. He is from the world of Quested, so he lives in the Fraubron, and he's doing an investigation on the death of one of his dear friends who is from an island where they make movies professionally, and they believe that their gods are producers, and so they have to make all these movies. And Detective Kaiju met him when he was brought in as just a lonely kaiju to play that role as well. And now he's actually doing this detective work, and he's come back, and he's finally found the ultimate bad guy, and now he's having to fight that bad guy and come to terms with some things about his friends in this island and these people that he's always kind of had this connection with, and also with himself, because he does have to say, like, am I just a kaiju monster? Am I just here to fight? Or is there something more to me, and have I become more since those days? Such a fun story that this has been. And if you are just looking for a fun detective story that stars a kaiju doing the work and some laughs along the way, you should definitely check it out. Cemetery Kids Run Rabid, issue 4 from Oni Press. This is volume 2, issue 4, and we are definitely wrapping up this volume with the idea that a volume 3 could come our way someday. And I really hope it does, because every time they end this series, I'm like, oh, there's so much more you can do. If you don't know Cemetery Kids is about a world where a video game starts to, like, actually, like, brain rot and suck all of the kids into the game. And in volume 1, the older brother of the group got stuck in the game and was just kind of molding with this evil dark entity, and we were led to believe that they all made it out. But what we found out in this arc is he is kind of that evil dark entity in real life, and he's still trapped, and the only way to save him is for them to go back into the game and fight some more without him. And so the kids have been doing just that. The rest of the group has been doing that. And in this battle, it's kind of come down to just 2 of them left. And a lot has happened to the rest of the kids around the world that are playing this game. And we're starting to see that this is a phenomenon that is hitting and hurting everybody. And so as they fight to try to release this evil from the brother, they find out that a lot more evil has happened, and maybe like I said, maybe there's going to be a volume 3 where we have an even bigger battle coming our way. But what's happening on the other side and where these quests are going to take us, I really hope there's volume 3 soon to let us know. We've got Ancestral Recall issue 4 from Ahoy Comics. This is a story all about a man who has lost his memory, or at least is starting to. He's got early, like, onset dementia, and everything that he loves and everything he understands comes from his beautiful wife, who has been with him for years, kind of holding him together. And in the very first issue, we find out that people all around the town have been disappearing, and something dark has been happening to them. And in that issue, his wife, June, is one of the people who stole it, and the only way that he can fight back is with the literal power of Black history. And so he has these moments where he remembers something about the first Black man or woman to do something, and it kind of gives him that power. He's able to think about it and absorb that power from them and use it on his battle to find his wife. This issue actually gives us the chance to see how they got together and how they built the career and the lives that they have together, but also lets us see the beginning of his decline, as both of them are being like siphoned for their memories for the captors that are coming. We are in complete and total reliance on our teenage neighbor in this issue, as she has to kind of pull it together, which is always funny to see her do it. Every time she tries to get things going for them, it doesn't end necessarily the way she wants. But again, it's got a fun action story. It's got a really great amount of history in it. There's so many people that you learn about that you're like, I had no idea that this person was the first swordsman, or this person was the first race car driver of color, and things like that. And so it's really cool to see that, but also just the love affair and the relationship between these people is so beautiful. And like, I'm seriously like, I would totally, like, I would go to all these same like links to fight to save Matt. Y'all know who he is. And so I love seeing these beautiful stories about this. I'm gonna take another drink. We are drinking Solnia, which is Tempranillo. Nice spice now.
Yeah. Still very cherry.
Very, very cherry. I told Matt before the show started that this, or maybe I said it, no, I did say it on the show, but I was talking about the sacrificers of it all, and how this would have been a great bottle for sacrificers because of the planets, but also, like, the girl's name is Soluna. So I'm like, now I'm going to tell you, like, speaking of Rick Remender, you should pair this bottle of wine and read Sacrificers. Great wine pairings to go with comics. We've got Orla, number 4 from Mad Cave. This is a huge fan favorite here at Bat City. We can never keep this book in stock, and you'll see why when I talk about it. But if you don't know Orla, if you're one of the like 4 people who didn't get a copy of it before we sold out of issue 1, this is all about a woman who really just wants to find this perfect, happy relationship, but every time she goes out into the dating pool, she realizes that most men that she experiences are absolute trash and treat her and everybody else terribly. And because of that, a giant male-consuming monster inside of her is literally eating all of these terrible men whole. We have been following along as she has had this great experience where she actually found somebody that she felt comfortable with, the person who runs the local bookstore, and they started going on dates, and everything has been fine. But on Halloween, Orla and him go to a Halloween party that her best friend is throwing with the worst boyfriend ever. And Orla needs to take a break, and in the process of taking a break, she is approached by a former friend who attempts to sexually assault her, and the monster comes out and is unleashed. And we saw at the end of issue 3, Gwen, her boyfriend, actually sees this happen, and she is so nervous that she is going to lose him forever. And so they have to, in this one, have all of the hilarious hijinks of trying to like hide the body and what you're going to do with that. And then we do kind of see, how does somebody process the monster inside of you? How do you deal with the fact that like everybody has baggage, and maybe your baggage is severe trauma that you cannot seem to unpack? And we see Orla and Gwen kind of dealing with that as they take a little break to figure it out, and Orla going on her own self-discovery journey through that process as well. Because you do have to eventually learn that, like, how to deal with your own trauma. And I love the way that they do this with a giant man-eating monster. It's so fantastic. This issue is, as always, like so well done. A perfect balance of romance, of little dark horror comedy, like kind of situation, all blended into one beautiful story. I really hope somebody options this. Like, if you're out there and you're like, what should I be optioning from comic books? I think Orla is one that would do really, really well for so many different audiences, and I think we could use an Orla movie. Just saying. Romanus Majicae. This is issue 4 from the publisher Cambrian Comics. And this is the wrap-up of this story as well. This is all about a Roman soldier who um, after a very, very bad battle, decides to abandon the SPQR forces that he's a member of and becomes kind of a drunkard on the street. Ends up getting picked up and teaming up with a group of people who are trying to protect a woman who is like an unauthorized oracle, who has been seeing all of these different visions about the fall of Rome. And they are arrested by these people taken hostage, I should say, by these people. And they are trying to use her to open up this evil and bring it into reality into Rome. And they have no choice but to actually like start fighting against this. And his only choice is to also team up with the very like SPQR soldiers and commanders that he left behind in order to help get them the strength and stuff that they need. And this is our big battle moment at the end. We get to actually see like what it is that she's supposed to be invoking and what it is that they are going to do to stop that. We get all of that in this one issue, as well as like choices about where the future could go and what might happen to all of our characters as if the story were to continue. We've got Quick Stops, Volume 3, Issue 4 from Dark Horse Comics, and, you know, the Jay and Silent Bob of it all. This is Kevin Smith bringing you stories from his universe that maybe haven't been exposed from the past. And so this one is going to tell us a story about, you know, some of the characters who we've seen their stories before, and we've not necessarily seen how they connect. And so this is Heather Jones and her family all having some great moments. Heather goes out on a date with a boy that she meets at the local Quick Stop, and they have a wonderful, crazy, wild night at the beach. And then she's like, "Hey, come back and meet my family." And he's like, after like one hookup, that's weird. And then they go home to her family, and they realize upon the doorstep that he has actually in high school dated her sister and had a very, very, very Kevin Smith strange level of experience with this family in the past. And they expose that entire story to the group with the parents there, and the parents are extremely high, so they're like, this is just hilarious to them, and they're laughing through the whole thing. It's awkward and somehow somehow heartfelt, all in the same moment, as Kevin Smith is known for doing. But this gets really, really far out of hand before working its way back to the romance story that Kevin starts to build at the beginning. And so if you're looking to laugh while you, like, in the most ridiculous ways, you're going to get it out of that. Flow, issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is your classic teen horror story really coming to life in a new way. It is all about a group of kids who are at a summer camp, and the summer camp is very like specific. You're not allowed to tell people like different things. They kind of like whatever rules your parents kind of put on you, they follow through that. They don't talk to the kids about a lot of stuff. It's very, very off-putting. And one little girl has her period for the very first time while she's there, and they've been told by her parents that they're not allowed to talk to her about that. And so she's just having this crisis, essentially, and some bullies at the camp decide to tell her that she's actually been cursed, and it's because of all the things that her witch mother did. And now she is dealing with that, and we're seeing those flashbacks of her getting bullied and all the different things that happened to her, while also seeing the now time where the very adults who were children and bullied her are having some very ghostly, dangerous experiences happening to them, as if the crimes that they paid to this young teenage girl are coming back to haunt them in the most real way possible. And the people who thought that they were safe from it and who were certain that the other ones were kind of losing their mind are actually kind of having to turn that around and come and team up with them, as we're going to have to do some investigating and figure out what happened to this girl after the bullying and where did the story end. And we're going to see, and I love that they are balancing it so well as they go back and forth between it, because every time you think like, okay, so they're done with the bullying and nothing else can happen, then it's like, no, something else happened and something else happened, and they just like keep stacking it on, and yet we still don't even know what happened to this girl yet that like pushed her to a point where she could maybe be this ghostly entity. So I assume we have 2 more issues left, and I cannot wait to see what happens in them. We've got Skinbreaker issue 3 from Image and the Skybound imprint. This is also Robert Kirkman, so if you are a fan of Invincible, of Walking Dead, of Firepower, Outcast, any of those things Robert Kirkman did, this is going to give you your newest Kirkman story, and with that David Finch art that's just so hyper detailed and so cool. But this is about a tribe of people who live in their, their own world, and kind of have set up all of the stuff that works for them. They have this great, like, Skinbreaker is this weapon that they use that kind of exposes the kids, opens them up to whatever kind of power and strength that they're going to have. It's what they use to protect the village, all of these things. And we've been watching as one tribe leader was challenged by his protege to take over, and they can only take over by defeating them in battle. And now we've seen him ruling and what that experience looked like. And we have a person who doesn't believe that he is up to par and can actually run this tribe. And now, at the time when they kind of need their leader the most, because these monsters are attacking, this is when everybody is starting to doubt whether or not he's capable of actually doing just that. Seriously, there's so much that goes into the lore that Kirkman is building of this series, and the fact that most of it kind of like falls into that David Finch art, and you have to like kind of pore over the art to see what is happening in this community, is a really cool way to do it. We've got TMNT Shredder number 3 from IDW. This is the first time we've seen Shredder since the disappearance in the Sophie Campbell run of Ninja Turtles. So this brought us back the story of him. And in this story, he's been pulled in by essentially the FBI, and they are actually using Shredder on their side to take down all of these other people who have taken over New York City essentially in his absence, and they need him to do that. So he's been paired with a secret agent as his partner, and they are in this issue. He's like, okay, we need to go after these people. We need to find some information. And he comes into this business, like this actual like big giant corporation, and he's got a completely different name, and they all seem to know him by it. And he's considered one of the investors of that. And in the process of doing that, he finds out that some woman has taken over that they're all afraid of, which is of course the very woman that he's hunting for. And we find out that there's a scientist that's begun working for her, and he's created some short temporal time traveling situations, which of course Shredder is very familiar with, and is like, you're not doing it right, this isn't going to work. Like, meanwhile, you get the classic spy, like a secret agent kind of story, like Shredder like telling his handler like don't get involved, and the handler getting involved anyway, but it's Shredder, so he's like angry and like can destroy you, and is like, look, if you do that ever again, like, you asked me who this person was whose name I stole, like, to do this. Like, he's somebody else who interfered with my work, like, 3 different times. And so, it's really cool to see Shredder kind of having to pull this, like, FBI agent role and a friend. And it's such a different dynamic for Shredder, but also for Ninja Turtles in general. So it works really well. Dan Waters is telling a really cool story there. Exo Man of War issue 3 from Valiant and Alien Books. If you've wanted to check out Exo Man of War before and you were like, I don't really know the story, this is kind of rebooting all of that, and it does come with a ton of information about who Exo Man of War is. It's also written by Steve Orlando, so it's going in some classic directions, but with some new takes on them. And so in this, we found in the very first issue, like our hero, Exo Man of War, whose name is not actually that, but he's found in this place by these people who are called the punks, and who basically stand against all of these like Earth dwellers who are the bad guys. A very Mad Max version of Exo Man of War is happening here, because these punks are very similar to that, and they've built this nice family. And only he kind of has been able to infiltrate that ever, and it's because he stood up for them and saved a bunch of their people. Well, now, because he fought against these Earth dwellers, it has caused some tension and some problems, and they are coming after them and really just about to attack them. And he is like, don't worry, I've got this armor, I've got this goddess, she's always protected me, you guys get to safety, and I will fight against them all for you on your behalf. But the thing is that, as with all things Exo Man of War, that armor doesn't always work. And in this issue, he's starting to see what kind of problems that could cause for him in this universe. We've got volume 2 of Disney's Maleficent from Dynamite Comics, and this is issue 2 of that new volume. And this one kind of takes us to that point where Maleficent is trying to learn how to become the great and powerful Maleficent, the all-powerful being that she is. She's like, look, I am a fairy. I have fairy power. I have always been strong. I want to be the strongest. And so she awakens these ancient fairies who can take her back to like the fairy land and help her find this magic that she doesn't have. And in this issue, she's actually in that world, and we kind of see her go on a couple of different quests to try to awaken something that could continue to give her more power. And honestly, like, are these secret fairies that she's called on, are these ghost fairies, essentially, are they on her side, or is there some big trap coming Maleficent's way? I think we're working our way towards something of that nature, but Maleficent is definitely one of the coolest Disney villains, and I cannot wait to see this. And I do love that more Disney villain stories are on their way, and so we kind of started with Maleficent, and we're working our way back to Maleficent as a reminder that, like, more are to come. Supernatural issue 2 from Dynamite. This is taking us on some other adventures with the brothers from the Supernatural show. What are Sam and Dean up to? Giving us some fun experience. The Winchester brothers are in Las Vegas in this issue. And they are out of money and down on their luck and can't really figure out where they're supposed to be going. And so they are go to this casino to try to win some money because Dean is convinced that he can count cards, a thing he has never done before but thinks it can't be that hard. Unfortunately for him, he sits at the table with a guy who is given all of the wins just because he is somebody that's like in the mob and big and they want him to have the wins. But meanwhile, Sam saves a girl from a person who's talking to her and treating her poorly at a bar. And it turns out she is Lady Luck, essentially incarnate. And the boys have to figure out how to not only help her with the luck that's befallen on her, but also kind of maybe use it a little bit to their advantage to get what they need without taking advantage of it entirely. I believe this kind of seems to take place in like the season 2 kind of time period because it's very early on. They barely seem to know anything about their, like, the travels that they're on. They seem to be, like, really just like, oh, we've got to figure out what happened to mom and dad and all this stuff. So it seems very early in the Supernatural world. So don't quote me on that, Supernatural fans. I am not sure what happened before season 3, but if you're looking for a fun way to just kind of relive your Supernatural experience, so people who love Supernatural have loved this so much that they've started rewatching the show just because they started reading the comics, so it could get you excited. We've got the last day of H.P. Lovecraft, issue 2 from Boom Studios. Issue 1 of this was so solidly, like, succinct that I was like, I don't even know if this is a one-shot. It was about one day, and it seemed to wrap up. But now, going into issue 2, I can say that it is essentially the Christmas Carol, but for H.P. Lovecraft. And so he is on this last day of H.P. Lovecraft's life. Who all would show up to him and cause him to have these experiences of rethinking his life? And in this issue, that is actually started with his wife, the woman who loved him more than anybody, who he really, you know, maybe loves, maybe didn't. She is convinced that he never truly loved her more so than anything else. And they kind of go back to the moment where they first met, and they get to really live that experience and also see like how that really impacted him and more so how it impacted her. And she kind of just gets to tell him everything she experienced, but also she has this really great moment where she's like, look, you're never going to be remembered for the way you loved people, and you're never going to remember, you might be remembered for all of your writing, and you will, and they're going to think that you hated the ocean, but they're also going to think that you hated a lot of other people because you have painted yourself out as a terrible person. And so this is not like glossing over and being like H.P. Lovecraft was this perfect human. This is actually like people coming in and being like, you were a bad person, or you are, because he's not dead yet, and you're going to be remembered in the annuals of stories for different reasons, and some of them are going to be because you were a bad person, and now it's too late, and you should have made better choices. And so it's very Christmas Carol, but in with H.P. Lovecraft and the experience he has. And so, of course, the art is weird and off the wall because it's got to feel that way. We've got The Jungle, issue 2. This is volume 2, issue 2. And this is from Uncivilized Books. And this is a world where the humans are actually ape people of different kinds, simians of different kind, I guess I should say. And like humans are animals. Like they consider the humans to be like just kind of different kinds of animals and stuff. Like you actually see them in pens in this issue. But this has a story of a man who he's always been kind of the guy that's run the group. He's had this group of criminals and things like that he's run. And in this story, they all have ended up in prison. And he's trying to figure out how to get them all out of prison, how to survive. But there is, in this issue, there's the bigger guy in the prison, the big tough guy who actually has decided that he is a prophet for Jesus. And he is coming after everybody in the prison who doesn't choose to believe that. And in this issue, we see that he is actually, the way he's doing it is he believes that you need to drill a hole in your head and that will expose you to like God touching your soul. And so he's coming after members of Johnny's gang and trying to make that happen. And so Johnny's determined to keep them safe and make sure that never happens to his friends. And that includes a very outrageous, over-the-top battle that he has to go through to keep his friend safe from this situation. And this is a violent book. So if you're somebody who's like squeamish of like big, like, you know, kind of like gory violence, this is definitely going to have a lot of that. But if you like, this actually feels like one of those like really hardcore like prison stories, and has a lot to like kind of say within that at the same time. We've got Galactic, issue 1 from Distillery. This is the newest of the Distillery books. This is going to be our big space opera. And this is, honestly, if you are a fan of Star Wars, and I'm going to see if I can find the perfect way to tell you that this is a great page to show you that. If you are a fan of Star Wars, if you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, any of those space kind of stories, this is definitely going to be like a hyper blend of all of them with a little bit of a twist on every single one of the stories. We are following a guy who is essentially our Han Solo, you know, Peter Quill kind of guy. We actually, in that very first scene I just showed you, you really get the scene in the bar with Greedo and him trying to say like, oh, you've got to give me my money for this thing that I have. Well, he is actually on a quest, and that quest is that he has to, initially he's on a quest to kind of save some information that will help get this guy like what he needs. He made a terrible mistake. He's got to go get the information back, give it to the guy, and it's a free job, but it's going to expunge his record. And by expunging his record, he's able to get bigger jobs that are more highbrow. And the big job that's highbrow that he gets is actually that the ruler of a planet's daughter has gone missing. She ran away on her own, but she has not returned, and now she has her tracking device that was in her favorite necklace has gone silent, and so they're worried about what might have happened to her and where she might be. And so he is sent off on this mission to go and retrieve her and bring her back to her home planet. She ran away though because there is a very evil prince that she is supposed to marry, and she wants absolutely nothing to do with that. And she has these visions that if she goes through with it, something terrible is going to happen to her dad. And so we are just building a massive like space opera in this issue. You're going to get a little bit of comedy, a little bit of action. And as they say, this is a romance, but sometimes a romance story, sometimes the thing can be two things. And while this is a romance, it is also a story of war, and a big one to come. We've got Deadhead #1 from Iron Age. This is a really cool one for people who liked the Slasher's Apprentice book that just came out, and a couple of those other slasher books like that, because this is all about a world where there is a killer named Deadhead, and Deadhead is taking out a bunch of other slashers. And what's interesting is they're all happening in the same town, but the person who's narrating this and telling us about it is actually the local video store owner. And so he is actually showing us like these slashers and all the different movies, and he's like, oh, okay, like this is this one, and now he's going after this one. And so for a point you're almost like, oh, it's just a movie. And then you see like another time where it's like the new news is talking, and it's like, okay, another murder has happened, and like, hey, heads up, like this is going on, and it's like, ooh, so is this something that is happening in the real world, or something that is spreading out from the movie world? We don't really see it in this one. We just get to see a lot of these murders happen and learn like what Deadhead is doing, but not necessarily why he's doing it. And I think we're going to see that as the story goes on. We've got Kindra #1 from Antarctic Press. If you were a fan of Babs, this is another great one for you to read. This is about a woman who is, is that warrior girl who comes in and has all of the, the experiences of, can I show this page? Okay. I was like, I just saw her in a town. I was like, maybe I should check. This is, she's got that, cell sword. She's the woman for hire, takes out all the people, and she's got a mysterious past that we kind of get some hints to here and there. But she also makes some terrible decisions constantly with her money. And so she never actually has money. Meanwhile, because this is supposed to be a hilarious comedy set in one of those kind of barbaric periods, she has a weapon that talks and her armor talks. And they do not ever agree on anything. And so as she's constantly trying to figure out what the best things to do is, she gets most different information from both of them that totally and completely confuses her, and it's hilarious. She answers a call for a sellsword thinking that she is going to get paid a ton of money by some big giant person who needs help, only to find out that it is a small child who is trying to get to a world that he needs to get back to so that he can save his parents and his world at large. And she is like, okay, you know what, like, kid, I'm not going to help you, only to find out he actually does have a ton of money. And so she is on this mission. We've already seen the setup of other people being on the mission and going on the journey with her. It's actually kind of funny because the second half of the book is like the fake story that I tell in all of our comic creation workshops. And I'm like, oh my God, they totally nailed it. I love that. But it's a lot of fun. And again, it has a lot of the same like snark and humor that Babs did from Ahoy earlier this year. So this is another good one to check out. We've got Devil on My Shoulder #1 from Dark Horse and Kyle Starks. This is going to be, for those who read Vengeance is for the Living and thought, oh my God, I love this revenge story, this is going to give you another one of those stories that is going to be insane. And the fact that like Peter Kowalski is on art and Kyle Starks is doing the story, this is your Where Monsters Lie team coming at you with a new story. And they have a trigger warning at the beginning of this because this entire first issue is the setup for a revenge story. And I love that their trigger warning is actually like, this book contains disturbing depictions of torture, kidnapping, graphic violence, violence against women, physical abuse, and death. However, we promise her revenge will be just as bad. And so you're like, okay, like, where is this going that you have a trigger warning, but also like, you're like, but don't worry, it'll be good. And so we see what happens. A young woman who gets forced to stay late at work to do inventory by herself. When she leaves, she's captured by 5 guys who then do actually, and I'm going to try to not show any of the extremely terrible pages, they do spend months essentially torturing this woman in the worst possible ways. And it's awful, and she just kind of like leans into it so much. And when all of the stuff goes on, she's like, I gave them all my own names. I gave them all their own, like I kind of kept track of everything. And it is the setup issue. And so you kind of know that like she's going to get revenge. And so we do see what all of this entails and who each of these people are and kind of what also happens to them after that. Like, where do they go once they've moved on from doing this as terrible, like, teenage boys and 20-something-year-olds? Like, where do they go from that? And how do they become, like, these, like, super successful men and everything is just, like, forgiven for them because nobody ever caught them? And she's like, I'm going to make this happen. And we get to see all of that, like, build up. And it's intense and it's crazy and it's a lot. But you're also, like, the whole time, like, with that trigger warning, you're like, but I need to know now what happens. Very much, like I said, like, Vengeance is for the Living from Floating World. In that it's brutal, but you know it's going somewhere. We've got Arcadia #1 from Ignition. This was awesome. We got to have our exciting adventure day with that, with Ignition this week. For that, again, thank you to Ignition and Dan Curry for putting that together. But this is a big new universe from the Miranda brothers, who you may know from We Live. And this is all about a futuristic world where humans are gone for the most part, and that nobody's ever, like, none of the people living have ever met a human. But we have these humanoid style people, and they are born from these machines essentially, and they have these pearls in their brain that helps them function and also keeps all of their memories. And we're following along as this man is looking for some pearls from people and also some power-ups essentially, because they need this special, and it's on this page, so I'll show it, this special pill in order to survive. Like, everything that lives has to have that pill, but it's so hard and scarce to find that they're constantly kind of going through this apocalyptic world looking for it. And in the process of doing that, he ends up being there when a new person is born. And usually when a person is born, because they don't have the right stuff anymore to keep them sane, they turn into what they call ferals, and they just attack the world and everything around them. He is able to take this young one under his wing and then kind of train him up. And we are going to be following the story of that kid. That's going to kind of be the main story that we're following. Much like with We Live, the Miranda brothers build these relationships between young and old. Kind of like that father-son sibling kind of situation, that they do a very good job of like connecting those elements together. And we're going to see where this goes, because this is just the beginning of a whole new world. They do another one of the, much like all of their books, the Miranda brothers always build in a soundtrack to go with it. And so there are QR codes to kind of show which song you should listen to as you're reading, which is really awesome. And I can't wait to see the big bright world that they build in that. I'm going to take a drink again before we talk about Picks of the Week. Oh, wow. It's got a nice spice to it. But it's still not like Tempranillo, like kick you in the face spice. It's like a good, like, balance point still. So they are right. It is a nicely balanced thing. All right, I'm gonna go this one first. All right, Picks of the Week. We've got the wrap-up of The Invisible Man from Image Comics, Skybound, and the Universal Monsters world. These are officially licensed Universal Monsters book, and James Tynion does a great job. I was really curious how he was going to give us all of the Invisible Man story with where he was by the end of issue 4, and he kind of does such a great, interesting story with the way he does it. So far we've been following along as the Invisible Man has created, like, as our scientist has created the serum that would create invisibility. We saw in the first couple issues as he tried it on rats and then dogs and then monkeys and different things. And then we learned in the last issue that he had finally tried it on a human, and he was able to make it work on a street urchin, but that street urchin gets away from him, and this kid is actually like now completely invisible, and there's no way to go back, and he knows that this person is haunting him and coming after him. And so he stops his research and for a bit kind of starts living his life on the edge, waiting for this to come after him. But the man wants the glory. He wants to be the one to be able to turn invisible and then come back again. And he knows that that's what's missing. And so he comes back to his research to try to find a way to actually to make that work and to accomplish that. And it's just a really great way to see the Invisible Man story take some new twists and turns, but also come to life in the way that you expect all at the same time. James Tynion said this is the Universal Monster story that he really, really wanted to tell, and you can definitely see that in how well he built this and put it all together. And then, I have to say it, I have to show it, because part of why it is my pick of the week, I'm not going to lie, is because at the back of the book, we have our next announcement. The Phantom of the Opera is our next Universal Monsters book coming to us from Image and Skybound. I'm so excited. You got Martin Simmons on art again for Phantom of the Opera, and you got Tyler Boss writing it. I am so stoked. This is going to be so good. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it gave you extra points to get the book into the pick of the week just because it had that teaser for Phantom of the Opera. And usually I'm like, don't read the teasers. You know that you want to read it. It's okay. And I was like, haha, Phantom of the Opera, I'm reading it. So, I'm so stoked, especially with Tyler Boss writing. It's going to be so good. And I cannot wait to see more of how Martin Simmons uncovers the way the Phantom looks. Oh, it's going to be great. All right, we've got Feral issue 18 from Image Comics in here. Look, I am just constantly impressed with the way that Tony and team are making this book happen. I don't understand how he gives so much like emotion and manipulation and like well done like human elements to these cats, but he does it so well. It's like Tony is writing this without like with like humans in his head and then just has them draw them as cats, because the emotion and the way that the story unfolds, you would never know that this was featuring cute little Disney-esque style animals. But if you don't know feral, grab the trades. But also, this is the story. It's essentially The Walking Dead with cats. There is a disease of rabies, a disease that breaks out that infects all of the cats and dogs and animals of the world. Cats specifically seem to be the problem. We are following along as this group of survivors in the cat world have been trying to figure out where they're going. There's so many dynamics. There's a mama cat and her kittens. There's kind of the old house cat that was always the one that ran everything at the home. There's the young kitten who doesn't know how to behave and was always worried about whether or not people like him. And then there's the tomcat that they found on the street who is sleeping his way through everybody and anybody. He is so the Shane of this, like if you're a Walking Dead fan, this man is totally Shane. He is, and I'm like, you're a cat, but I'm calling it what it is. And so in the recent arc, we've been in the pet city, which, you know, they found a pet supermarket essentially, and they went in there thinking like, hey, there might be food and safety in there, but at least there's no feral animals. It turns out, if you saw it, if you've been reading it, it's very much like their terminus. These cats, they're not people. These cats have been growing cats and using them to create food. And we recently had this, like, we have to get out of here moment. And then our little tomcat was like, what if instead of getting out, we just took over? But immediately all of his violence and manipulation and anger became something that boiled to the surface, and we saw it more and more. And I would literally spoil this entire issue if I keep talking, because watching this happen, and again, the way Tony wrote the manipulation and the characters and the way they all interact with each other, it's so good. It's some of the best character dynamics that you see on the shelf. And it's cats. But you know what? Cats are better than everything. So it makes sense that cats would do so great. But seriously, so good. And the team is just knocking it out of the park with this.
Can we please mention the long legs variant?
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. I've been waiting for it. Didn't see it until today when I rang up a customer. Got so excited to grab my own copy.
Yay. I'm sorry.
The best homage cover we've had yet.
Yes. And it works, honestly. Like, I love that. I always ask Tony, like, and them if they're, like, did y'all pick, like, and Tony is very specific. Like, Tony is always, like, thinking of everything with all the stuff, and these, like, the ones that come as the B covers, he's very specific on it, and you can always see so much of, like, why he picks the ones that he does. Okay, now I'm going to tell you that the next book in my picks of the week is the most off the wall. You would not believe that this is the book that Shannon chose for pick of the week this week, but I really, really want to see this also as a movie, and I kind of already have, but also I just really thought this was so well done. Anyway, I saw Santa #1 from Image in the Spawn universe, and I know it's not a normal Shannon pick, and it's a Christmas book, and it was barely Thanksgiving this week, but you know what? Holy cow. So anyway, this book opens up with Sam and Twitch coming to investigate a murder, and I'm going to show you, because this is like page 2, what a double page spread that is. Sam and Twitch from the Spawn universe are called in to investigate, and you know I love Sam and Twitch. They come in to investigate, and a family has been murdered, and very, very violently. It's terrible, and they're like, what suspects do we have? And the only suspects that we really have is that the footprints lead towards the chimney. And so they're like, did Santa Claus murder all of these people? What happened? And then we jump over to Santa, and he is in a panic, in a tizzy, because he has witnessed this experience. He has seen this murder that happened. He didn't like see the murder, but he has seen, like, he was the one who found the bodies, and he's like, oh my God, this is insane. This was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I have been around for centuries. I cannot believe this. And Santa has an absolute like panic attack, like leaves his routes to come home because he just can't handle it. And we actually get to see him talk to Mrs. Claus about the situation and about the things that Santa saw there, and open up the fact that there is like this long running story, and this is something that Santa like has been dreading happening his whole life, and like it all comes back to some very naughty people. And it just had so many freaking layers. And also, I don't want to tell you anything because every page I was like, what? Where's this going? And also, like, there's great jokes to kill the, like, to give you the moments. There's twists and turns. There's the darkest evil that Santa and you could possibly experience in mankind. Like, it's like Seven meets Santa. Like, honestly and truthfully, like, it is, there's so much, like, this needed a long legs variant. There's so much coming into this. If you did not grab it yet and you are looking for a dark horror Christmas story, grab this. This is going to be your dark horror Christmas story this year.
It says number 1?
Yes. It's continuing. Yes, this is an ongoing. This is not like miniseries. This is not a one shot. There's so much, like, the things that open up at the end of the issue. There's so much. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what is going on with Santa. And I'm already trying to, like, predict twists and turns. And I'm like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to get it right. I don't know, but I don't want to ever be on the naughty list. You know, it's so good. It is so surprisingly good. So I know it's Christmas and you're like, why? I don't want to read a Christmas story. But you do. You do. You definitely do. All right, we got a bunch of other books in stock this week. I'm going to fly through them really fast. We're going to start with, there is Prodigal Son, issue 4, second printing from AMP. If you missed that series, we now have all of the issues again in second print. The Punisher, Marvel Knights World to Come. This is issue 2 of that series. We've got Green Arrow, issue 30. Speaking of your Christmas stuff, we have the DC Christmas special. It's I Saw Ma Hunkel Kissing Santa Claus. And this one actually features a bunch of stories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stories that you're going to get in that one. We've got our Age of Revelation stories continuing. We've got X-Ventures issue 2, Undead Deadpool issue 2, X-Patriot X-Men issue 2, and Cloak or Dagger issue 2, helping us round out some of that series. We're going to talk about that one last. We've got Absolute Wonder Woman issue 14. We've got Battle World number 3. We've got Detective Comics 1103, Immortal Legend Batman issue 4. We've got the launch of Batman Green Arrow The Question Arcadia issue 1 for that. I'm really excited for that story. Scourge of the Serpent Conan story 3. DCKO issue 2. We've got Harley Quinn issue 55. Marvel Zombies. This is issue 3 with that Thanos zombie cover. We've got Gunslinger Spawn issue 49. DCKO has a tie-in in this month's Superman with issue 32. We've got Boba Fett Black, White, and Red issue 3. We've got Venom Black, White, and Blood issue 4. Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman, issue 5. We had the newest installment in the Berserker world with the Bleeding Tide, issue 1. If you are wanting to go with continue your Berserker journey or jump in now, that's Keanu Reeves' story, so you can jump in. We've got the Undead Iron Fist issue 3 with this really cool Eastman cover. And then we had Absolute Batman number 14 with Absolute Harley Quinn, which is cool to see how they're doing that, which is, of course, lead into our Absolute Joker that is coming soon. We've got a bunch of trade paperbacks and graphic novels in stock, including the Marvel Premiere Collection. They're kind of compact versions. This is the Hawkeye, the David Aja, Matt Fraction story, which is really exciting that is in print again. Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider. This is the newest volume of that, which contains issues 11 through 15. Rick and Morty, Ricklemania. This is that whole Ricklemania 1 through 4. We've got Batman and Robin, or Robin and Batman. This is the Jason Todd Robin and Batman story from Dustin Nguyen. We've got one of Matt's favorite books of the year, buried long, long ago in trade paperback form. This is the whole thing. Read it and come talk to Matt about it. We've got the Darth Vader Epic Collection. This is our modern epic collection. This is volume 2. So this is the 2015 through 2016 time period of the Darth Vader story. Void Rivals volume 4 hit trade paperback this month. So if you need to catch up on your Inner John universe, that's going to be great. The first arc of the Adventure Time from Oni Press has hit its trade paperback. We've got Batman and Robin, the Animated Adventures. This is going to contain Batman and Robin Adventures 1 through 10. So you gotta check that out for all those cartoon fans. Free Planet's first volume has come into trade paperback form. This is issues 1 through 6 of the massive space opera from Aubrey Sitterson and Judd Daughtry. Ghosted in LA is back in print with a complete collection. I'm excited that Boom actually did this. This is such a great series from Cine Grace. If you didn't get to read it yet, now it is in the complete collection altogether. And then we have The Most Amazing Saturday Morning Rubbish Club. This is 3 young people with complex needs, 1 homeless engineering genius, and a secret underground bunker. Some police mix-ups, some psychedelic stuff, a great deal of rubbish, and a hilarious story. So if you're just looking for something fun, more slice of life kind of thing, that's going to be a good one for you. That is all the books I have for you today. Don't forget this Wednesday is Zine Night starting at 6 p.m. with Katie. It's going to be the night, twas the night before Zine Night, even though it is actually Zine Night. We're going to be making some fun Christmas holiday themed zines. Thursday night at 7 p.m. is Fresh Start Book Club. We are reading Revival Issue 1. We've got $1 copies. You can pick those up on Wednesday. Saturday at noon, bring those kids out for Miss Katie's art class. And then, of course, come see me downtown for Winter Wonderland, celebrating the start of the holidays in the city of Bradenton. It's going to be a great week at Bad City. We hope to see you around. If not, and until we do, happy reading, everyone. Bye.